Hello. Today is March 14, 2018, and I was supposed to make a video about certain integrals related to pi because March 14 is Pi Day, and at the same time talk about the great Albert Einstein because today is also his birthday, March 14th. However, just this morning, a huge bomb of a news dropped, which is really sad for the physics community because at age 76, Stephen Hawking actually died today. Okay, so instead of dedicating this video to pi, I mean, I can do that at a later time, like next year, for example. But it's really a very sad but grand cosmic coincidence that the great Stephen Hawking would die on the day that's also the birthday of the great physicist Albert Einstein. So today I'm gonna show you some books if you're like you want to dedicate or if you want to celebrate the memory of Stephen Hawking. If you wanna get into him, what would you do? What would be the things that you want to read? And the tricky thing about physics in general is that some readers are afraid, to delve into physics because they're afraid that they can't understand the concepts. But that's really not the case. The books that I'm gonna show here are um, dedicated or targeted to the lay people or lay person, so as long as you have uh, good understanding of reading English text, then it should be fine. You don't have to be mathematically trained and so on. So of course, if you're a physicist, these books are very great as well to know the life behind Stephen Hawking and the lives behind the physics that we do. But of course, you don't really need to do it if you're a physicist. Just continue your job, being a physicist. I think Stephen Hawking would already be happy that you dedicate your life to a calling that he himself spent his life with. Okay, so here are the books that I'm gonna talk about. First is, of course, his very famous Brief History of Time. So this one is a huge bestseller, and you can find this in a lot of like secondhand bookshops and so on. There's even like newer editions for this one, illustrated editions, and this is one of those science books that started, popularizing modern science in general because like as stated by Carl Sagan during the earlier time when scientists, physicists, for example, try to attempt to write things that are not uh, mathematically heavy that are targeted to the lay people. The physics community, the science community during that time, according to Carl Sagan, will look at him and like they will be like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not doing your job. Like, why are you writing this science textbooks for lay people? And Carl Sagan really, and of course with the help of this book, also Stephen Hawking, they really reversed that mentality such that today we have this lots and lots of popular texts on science like from Brian Greene to Neil deGrasse Tyson, and we really need those people because these books, they're the ones that people who are not in the sciences would read, and so they can understand what, for example, physics is all about. It's really a big problem in the Philippines, for example, especially in theoretical physics, because it's very hard to like motivate or justify um, to, I don't know, to the government or to the funding body what the practical application or what importance is of fundamental research. So I really think that we really need lots of these books, and especially science communicators to to tell people the importance of fundamental research. And this is one of those books, right? A Brief History of Time. So this is very famous, and I think you should get it. The next one is, of course, this one is not written by Stephen Hawking. This is written by Leonard Susskind. It's called The Black Hole War. Okay, so my battle with Stephen Hawking to make the world safe for quantum mechanics. This is a deep account, but targeted to the lay audience of the black hole information paradox, or on whether or not information is really irretrievably lost during a black hole evaporation. So this is a very good read if you like want to get into one of the works of Stephen Hawking, and how what the great debate is all about between Susskind and Tehoft and Hawking regarding the information paradox. And again, you don't need, you know, sophisticated physics or mathematics knowledge. This is targeted for the lay audience. So this is called the Black Hole Wars. Okay, and before we go on to the other books, I'd just like to add, like I said, because it is today is also Albert Einstein's birthday. I would like to promote or recommend this biography of Albert Einstein. Einstein, His Life and Universe by Walter Isaacson. This is one of the most recent Einstein biographies. There are a lot of them. Among the best ones I've read is Soto is the Lord by Abraham Pais, and then His Life and Times by, I forgot his name, Clark, I think. But this one, this guy, Walter Isaacson, is like his his um, his books are biographies of famous people like Leonardo da Vinci, Benjamin Franklin, Steve Jobs, and he really did a good job with this one. Okay, and I'm showing this because again today is Einstein's birthday, and Albert Einstein is my favorite physicist of all time. So this is a good book to add into your collection. But going back to Stephen Hawking and talking about biographies, one of the great biographies that I can recommend. Unfortunately, I can't find a hard copy of this one. If I can find one, like I will buy it without any second thoughts. But currently, it's in my Kindle, and it is called My Brief History, and it's written by Stephen Hawking himself. So it is an autobiography, and you really get to uh, take a peek or a glance inside the mind of one of the greatest recent physicists of all time. Okay, and sometimes autobiographies are really good when you get to hear the story firsthand from the person himself. So, like for example, the very successful Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman. So this one is also great, and it's really short. Like it's like I think less than 200 pages. So it's really highly recommended. And finally, if you want a biography that is from a third person point of view, then I recommend Stephen Hawking, His Life and Work by Kitty Ferguson. And Kitty Ferguson is a famous writer on different popular science books on various topics and science and mathematics, and it's really well written. If you some people, I don't need to read that because I've seen like the theory of everything. That's a great film actually, but most of that is told from I believe it's based on the diary of his wife, so it's told from the point of view of his wife. So you should read this to complement that. Okay, and this was written, I think, 2011, 2012. I just want to read the last part here that Kitty Ferguson mentioned in the biography before it was finished. So the boss, that's Stephen Hawking. The boss was back, ready to go on with his adventures as long as his health and his ability to communicate hold out. A child who has never grown up, still asking how and why questions, occasionally finding an answer that satisfies him for a while. Okay, and so during that time, still alive. So sadly today I wrote it, and the last part I wrote. Today, March 14, 2018, Stephen Hawking died. Okay, which is really sad because Stephen Hawking is one of those, last um, living physicists with a sort of rock star fame. Like he's like Albert Einstein, where you talk to a lay person, they know him. Like unlike some other, like there are like famous physicists like David Gross, Kip Thorne, or Chohoff. When you talk to other people, they don't know those. But Stephen Hawking, they've heard of him. He was even like featured in Big Bang Theory and so on. And it's really sad because he's really one of those living physicists that I would have before that I would have wanted to meet, but sadly, I can't do that anymore, right? But you know, his death being on the birthday of Albert Einstein, I'll always consider it as to be one of the greatest coincidences in the universe that ever happened. Okay, and so that's it. And I hope you find time reading those books. And again, thank you, Sir Stephen Hawking, for your great contributions to physics. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.